Brace yourselves, petrolheads. Winter is coming. Hello YouTube, Miller Connor here, welcome back once again, and winter is very much on the way. In fact, in the last couple of weeks it's gone from being kind of mid-teen temperatures to as low as 4 degrees during the day. So it's clear that winter is going to be a long one, it's going to be a cold one, and it's going to be very, very difficult for petrolheads, because when winter happens there's a lot of difficulties, there's a lot of struggles, and a lot of things that makes winter very stressful for people that are into their cars. So here are 5 reasons why petrolheads hate when winter comes. The first one comes before you've even got in the car in the morning, and it's when you come out and it's been really cold, often below 0 overnight. You're going to find a lot of frost on your car, and particularly on the windows. So that means if you can actually get into the car, you can't see anything. So you have to spend 10 to 15 minutes before you actually drive the thing with the de-icer and with an ice scraper, cleaning your windows, making sure you can actually see where you're going, and warming your car up, which means starting up and wasting petrol. It's sitting there and not doing anything just to get the engine warm before you're ready to go. So we waste time, we waste money, and we have to be out in the cold more often, and that is incredibly stressful. Not to mention, if you've got a leather steering wheel, a leather gear knob, and some people have leather seats without heating on them, you're going to be getting into a very cold car as well. It happens whether you like cars or not, but having to sit there and waste petrol is particularly bad. And I have to say, as useful as these things are, I like to call de-icer and ice scrapers a necessary evil for petrolheads. Number 2 is particularly important if you are a petrolhead, because you've got particular amounts of mechanical sympathy. We love our cars, they're one of our favourite things in the world, and we want to care for them. So when we go out first thing in the morning in the freezing cold and we have to start them up, and they have a cold start and a really cold start in the winter, we can't help but feel like we're abusing them a little bit. Hearing them chug as they have to rev particularly hard to get warm, and seeing them puff particularly large amounts of smoke when they're on choke is awful. It's terrible, because we feel like we're abusing our poor cars, and there's nothing we can do about it. We have to get them warm so they start running better. But seeing your car chug and smoke and not run right for a few minutes while it's so cold is just the worst feeling in the world, and we feel like we're abusing our pets or a member of our family when we do that. Number 3 is something that affects everyone, whether you're into cars or not, but it's particularly potent if you've got a car that you've worked hard to make look nice, and that's when cars get so dirty at this time of year. Because it's more likely to snow, there's going to be more gritters on the road. Grit makes your car filthy. And then there's rain. There's a lot more rain in Britain in the winter than any other time of year, amazingly. And because wet roads cause spray, your car gets even dirtier, it gets muddier, it looks awful. When I went to the Surrey car meet a couple of weeks ago, I actually washed and detailed my car the day beforehand, but by the time I got to the meet, it was filthy once again, and you wouldn't know that I cleaned it in the last month or so. Right now my car hasn't got a clean panel on it. I drove a few hundred miles yesterday, and honestly, it looks like it hasn't been washed for about 6 months. I don't like having a dirty car, but I happen to be someone who enjoys cleaning their car. That said, when it's getting this dirty in just a few weeks, it can be a little bit stressful to have to constantly find time and space to clean your car to a good standard throughout all of the winter months. Number 4 is something particularly potent to those of us with project cars who like to modify, repair and work on their own car, and that is the temperatures around winter. Because, as I've said, it drops to some cases below freezing at really bad times, it's pretty much impossible to work on your car outside. When I first started the Super Seicento series, I was on the driveway doing things in the summer, like the bonnet stripe, painting the wheels, doing the remote central locking, and it was nice because it was a nice temperature, we could see loads because there was lots of light that was long lasting, and it was just a perfectly comfortable environment to be in. Not so in the winter, because we have really dark mornings, it gets dark by about 4 in the afternoon, and it's incredibly cold, which means unless you wrap up in about 15 layers, you're not going to be able to work on your car, and if you do wrap up in those 15 layers, you're not going to be able to move that much, which makes it difficult to work on the car in the first place, particularly if you're crawling around underneath it. And it's one of these things that we can't do anything about. You can either crack on with it and freeze your hands off trying to crack that last bolt on the driveway, or you can find access to a workshop, which can be difficult, expensive, and not even possible for some people at this time of year, particularly for the expenses that Christmas involves. But most people don't have access to a workshop, and that means that over the winter, unless you happen to have your own garage, you have to put the project car on hold, and that is deeply stressful for someone who's got a lot of work and a lot of mods that they want to do to their project car, me included. And the final reason why petrolheads hate the winter is to do with the most important thing in our petrolhead lives, and that is the driving. We love going for a good drive. It's fun, it's exciting. We can get away from the stresses of everyday life and do one of our favourite activities in the world. But winter sets out to make this one activity very stressful, very difficult, and not possible depending on your situation. Because, as we've said, during the winter, there's going to be more rain about, there's going to be colder, there's going to be greasy roads, it's going to be more slippery. It's harder and harder to drive enthusiastically. So it doesn't matter what you do. You can have the best four-wheel drive car in the world with the most amazing tyres on it, but that still doesn't mean you're going to be able to have the most amount of fun on greasy, wet, slippery winter roads. Also, there's going to be a lot more traffic around because there's going to be more people crashing, and if it snows, game over. No chance of you having any fun with a normal enthusiastic drive unless you happen to own some kind of modified 4x4, which of course most of us don't. And it's really annoying because over the winter having fun through driving just becomes a lot more difficult, which kind of takes away some passion that we have for driving over the winter period. It's so demoralising to want to go out for a drive, look out the window and it's pouring it down with rain, at which point you may as well call it off because you're not going to have any fun with it. But fear not, fellow petrolheads, because eventually the winter will be over. It'll be spring soon, it'll start brightening up, it'll start warming up, and that means we can get back out on the driveway to fix our project cars, we can get back out there and start driving again, and we can finally indulge in our favourite hobby, our favourite passion, once again. So there you have it, 5 reasons why the petrolhead in your life might be a bit stressed over the next few months. But make sure to reassure them that when spring comes around again, they can get back to enjoying their number one passion. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big old thumbs up and also subscribe for more Miller Corner videos in your subscriptions box as soon as they are released. But for now, thanks for watching everybody and drive safely this winter. See you soon and have a good one.